Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll give it just a moment for everyone to get into the Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. My name is Karen Swift, and I am Deputy Executive Officer in Community Relations. As we continue to welcome people here this evening, thank you for coming. I am going to turn it over to our Spanish language interpreter, Diana Orozco, to provide some announcements in Spanish. Diana?
Buenas tardes. Contamos con interpretación el día de hoy. Esto va a ser a través de Zoom. Entonces, si desea escuchar la interpretación en español, a favor de hacer clic en el botón de interpretación que se encuentra en la parte de abajo de su pantalla de Zoom. Si se está uniendo a través de una aplicación de smartphone de Zoom, o sea, utilizando Zoom, seleccione su idioma al hacer clic en More o en los tres puntos suspensivos en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla. Seleccione Language Interpretation, que es interpretación de idiomas. Luego seleccione Spanish, es decir, español. Y luego Done, que es fin. Si solo desea escuchar a los intérpretes y no el audio original, favor de darle clic en Mute Original Audio, que significa silenciar audio original. Todos deben de seleccionar un idioma, ya sea en inglés o en español, y no se queden fuera de estas dos opciones. We have interpretation available. I'm sorry, can you go back one screen? Uh, if you wish to hear Spanish interpretation, please click the interpretation button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are joining via the Zoom smartphone app, select your language by clicking More or three dots in the bottom right corner of your screen. Select Language Interpretation, then choose Spanish and click Done. If you wish to hear the interpreters and not the original speakers, be sure to click Mute Original Audio. Everyone must select the language, English or Spanish. Do not stay in the default off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. So with that, I'm going to run through a few protocols for this evening. We are so happy to have you here via Zoom. Your cameras are off and your microphones are muted, so please feel free to go about your business. We cannot see you or hear you, but we will invite your feedback later during the public comment period of our meeting. During that public comment period, you'll have the opportunity to raise your hand using the raise hand icon, or if you're joining by phone tonight, you will press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute, and I'll walk through those directions again later. You can also use the Q&A feature tonight during this webinar to submit comments that way. Next slide, please. Do you want to just share some community guidelines at the outset to make sure we have a productive and constructive meeting this evening? Metro is committed to ensuring that all participants can fairly and clearly share their ideas, comments, and concerns. Help us provide a safe and equitable process tonight. During this meeting, please, we ask that you respect our format and these protocols of the meeting, allow everyone an opportunity to comment, treat fellow community members and Metro staff with respect, address all your comments to Metro staff, and maintain a conversational tone. Next slide. We are so pleased tonight to welcome Metro Board Director and Glendale City Council Member Ara Najarian, who will make some welcome remarks now. Director Najarian, I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Karen, and good evening, everyone. As Karen said, my name is Ara Najarian. I serve on the Metro Board of Directors. I've been around so long that I've been chairman for 2 terms. I also sit on the Glendale City Council, and I'm the immediate past mayor of the city of Glendale. But tonight, I'm here in my role as the chair of the Metro Ad Hoc Board Composition Committee. This is a new committee that was formed earlier this year upon the request of our Metro Board Chair, Fernando Dutra. And our ad hoc committee is reviewing Metro's governance, primarily our board of directors and how it's composed and how many sit on the board. And we've been going around LA County listening to you, the residents of LA County, as to what you think would be a better solution to our board composition, or whether you think it's just fine the way it is. So we're going around in person to different groups and homeowners associations, but also over the internet as we're doing now through Zoom meetings. This is our 8th listening session. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us. What we're trying to do in this ad hoc committee is to hear your ideas and your thoughts. The ad hoc committee will then make a recommendation to the Metro Board in June. And then the Metro Board will have its own deliberation and decide what recommendations they want to make to the state legislature, because the Metro Board and the Metro Agency is a creature of state legislation. So there's several layers that go through, but the important thing is that we're hearing from you. We hope that we have a very wide range of perspectives, a wide range of participants, and that will make this an even more richer and productive event tonight. So without further ado, Metro staff will be giving you a short presentation, giving you the framework of where we are, where we've come from, and where we're going to go, hopefully. And we're very much looking for your thoughts. We appreciate you attending. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to our Metro Community Relations Deputy Executive Officer, Karen Swift.
Thank you so much, Director Najarian. Thank you again to everyone who's joined us. So here's a little look ahead of our agenda for this evening. So we're going to talk, as Director Najarian just explained, a little bit about the history, where we've been, where we are now, and how we've looked around the country. We are going to have the opportunity for a live listening session. We are going to give you the opportunity to use a QR code and do some live polling, so keep your cell phones handy. We'll also share with you information on how to submit your comments other ways. So if you don't like QR codes and don't want to do the live polling, that's fine too. So with that, we'll jump right into the presentation. Next slide. So Metro is unique. Among the nation's transportation agencies, we fund everything transportation in Los Angeles County. Metro serves as transportation planner and coordinator, designer, builder, and operator. Oh, could you go back, please? For the country's largest, most populous county. More than 10 million people, nearly 1/4 of California's residents, live, work, and play within Metro's 1,433 square mile service area. Metro is the third busiest transit system in the United States, and we are made up of 13,000 employees. Next slide. So I want to talk a little bit about history. So it helps to know how Metro came to be. So looking at the bottom of your screen, Metro was formed in 1993 when 2 agencies, the Rapid Transit District, known to some of you old-timers as RTD, and the LA County Transportation Commission merged into one regional transportation agency. At that time, the board structure was set by state law to balance representation between the county and the cities, and I'll share more about that in a few minutes. But over the years, our previous agencies had different board structures. So if you go back to LAMTA, we originally were just 7 members, and they were all appointed by the governor. from there, we went to a sort of RTD. We had a mix of 11 appointed and elected, so a little bit of a balance. LACTC had that same number of 11, but they were all elected. And then where we are today, which is 14 members, 13, one non-voting. I'll go through that in a minute, and a mix of elected and appointed. And it creates balanced representation. Next slide. So it was in 1993 that Richard Katz, then in the Assembly, put forward AB 152, and that was the state law that created Metro back in 1992. The law set the structure of Metro's board, but the law did not allow for automatic changes to the number of seats or who serves on that board, but it did build in a few triggers. One of which is if the city of Los Angeles population were to fall below 35% of all county cities, and or if the city of LA's population falls. And then there would be a process for that where a city selection committee would choose somebody from a city not already on the board. And the other trigger that was built into the legislation relates to the LA County Board of Supervisors expanding. And if that were to happen, it requires Metro to submit a revised plan for our board to the state legislature within 60 days. But there aren't any automatic changes just yet, but I'm going to get into that on the next slide, please. So you may recall that back in November 2024, the voters of Los Angeles County approved Measure G. Measure G initiates a multi-year process to restructure the way LA County is governed. So that means a few changes coming up. In 2028, the LA County will elect a county executive for the first time. And in 2032, the number of supervisors on the County Board of Supervisors will expand from 5 members to 9 members following that 2030 census. Again, Measure G does not change how Metro Board is governed, but it will put into place some of those triggers. And so that's part of the process of where we are today. Next slide, please. So as Director Najarian shared in his remarks, back in January, our current Metro Board Chair, Fernando Dutra, established an ad hoc committee of which Director Najarian serves as the chair. And it focuses on those potential changes to the Metro Board that are arising as a result of the passage of Measure G. That ad hoc committee is formed of all different people and all different representatives. So we have representatives from the current Metro Board, from the business community, from the labor community, from the Council of Governments, from the county's own governance reform task force, and a transit rider. And also, the Metro Board directed staff to do a lot of work this spring to do some demographic analysis, look at the history, and look around the country and do some comparative work to really provide a broad array of information to the committee to make those deliberations that Director Najarian talked about. Want to understand some common themes before making any future decisions. And as he indicated, the committee will make recommendations to the Metro Board by June. Next slide, please. So today's Metro Board of Directors is formed of the people you see here. So all 5 Los Angeles County supervisors, Supervisor Solis, Supervisor Mitchell, Supervisor Horvath, Supervisor Hahn, and Supervisor Barger serve on the board. From the city of Los Angeles, we have Mayor Karen Bass, and the mayor of Los Angeles has 3 additional appointments that they can make. Those roles are filled right now by Councilmember Katie Yaroslavsky, Councilmember Imelda Padilla, and Jacqueline DuPont Walker, who serves as a non-elected appointee to the Metro Board. And then we have our service sectors. So like Director Najarian is one of our service selectors, selected by the County Selection Committee and representing different parts. So our chair, Fernando Dutra, represents the Southeast or Long Beach area. Director Najarian represents the North County and the San Fernando Valley. Mayor Tim Sandoval from Pomona represents the San Gabriel Valley. And Inglewood Mayor James Butts represents the Southwest Corridor. So those are the South Bay cities and parts of the West Side. And then we have one appointee by our current California governor, Governor Newsom, and she's a non-voting member, and that's Gloria Roberts, who serves as district director for Caltrans. So this gets us to our Metro Board. Next slide. So you might be wondering, what does the Metro Board do? Well, they do a lot of things. They have a lot of responsibilities. They set our agency policy, the strategic direction. They adopt the annual budget and oversee the financial stewardship of the agency. They approve major capital projects, so deciding where things will go, different alignments, going through the environmental process, debt issues. They authorize our labor agreements and significant policy decisions. They also appoint and oversee our Chief Executive Officer, Stephanie Wiggins, and they provide regional governance representing county and city jurisdictions, as I explained in the prior slide. They oversee the planning, funding, building, and operation of not just the transit system, but also the highways. So if you drive on metro on the freeways, you are also a Metro stakeholder. And the board ensures accountability, transparency, and alignment with climate and equity goals. So these things devote many hours each month to this work because transportation impacts millions of people in Los Angeles County. So they really do all of the guidance for how we plan, fund, build, and operate transportation in Los Angeles County. Next slide. So this is a demographic snapshot that I will walk you all through. So as we know, Los Angeles County is large and diverse. So in addition to the city of Los Angeles, there are 87 other cities in LA County, as well as areas that are not part of a city known as unincorporated communities. 90% of our residents live in cities, while 10% live in unincorporated areas like East Los Angeles, Hacienda Heights, Altadena, Florence Firestone, Avocado Heights, Willowbrook, and Acton. These census numbers that you see here help us to understand the size and diversity of our region as we talk about the balance on the Metro Board of Directors and how it should look. It is important to note that trigger that I talked about earlier about the city of Los Angeles. The law dictates now that there are 4 representatives from the city of Los Angeles, unless the population were at any time to become less than 35% of the combined population of all incorporated cities in the county. This table shows that historically, that percentage has been well above that 35% trigger. I'll go ahead and move to the next slide. So one of the things the Metro Ad Hoc Committee asked us to, as staff, to do was to really to consult and do a look across the country and to look at other transit agencies. So we've analyzed the way that other transit agencies are structured. And what I like to draw people's attention to are those pie charts that you see on the right. And so if you look at Metro at the top, you can see there we are with our 1 county, 88 cities, and the way our board is composed with our 13 members and how the representation is divided between county and state and other. But as we look around the country, you can see we looked at New York City, New Jersey, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and our neighbor to the north, BART, up in San Francisco. And you can really see as you go through these numbers the difference. So, well, we're sort of around the same with our 13 numbers. Some go as high as 14 or 15, and some in Chicago are as low as 7. And then you can see again how those pie charts vary on the right. And so really how some of these may be appointed by the governor. So if we look at Boston, for instance, you've got 6 appointees by the governor, Secretary of Transportation, and just 1 city appointee. It's a very different way. If you go look at Washington, D.C., you've got 6 state appointees and 2 federal appointees. So really different. And then BART is all 9 elected to the board. And so is a different structure there altogether. On average, our peer agencies have about 10 to 11 voting members. Changes to board composition for our peer agencies also require formal legislative action at the state level, same as what we have here for LA Metro in California. And then large transit agencies in our study who have large budgets have an average of about 10 voting members, whereas smaller agencies might have 12 on average. So overall, compared to our peers, we're unique about having all of our Board of Supervisors serve on the board, and it's rare to find an elective county executive on the board of our peer agencies. County representation is usually a mix of appointees selected either by the county's elective body, if one exists, or elected officials. Other than Metro, Chicago's transit agencies serves only 1 county, but does not have any direct county representation. So as you can see, we focus a little bit more on local representation than state by having the county, city of LA, and those smaller cities represented on our board. So a lot to take in. I hope I moved through that in a way that all made sense. But we'd like to turn now to ask you some questions and get your feedback on this presentation and what we're up to. So I'm going to turn it over to Erica Boatman Dixon from our outreach team. So hopefully you've got your phones ready, and Erica is going to walk you through an interactive polling exercise. Erica, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. This next section is our interactive section, as Karen mentioned. We will actually start off with something a little fun, just to make sure that you're able to test your phone and able to get into the survey so that you can share some interesting information with us. And we'll ask you a few questions. You'll get the opportunity to give some feedback, and then we'll transition back to our other session where you can speak to any of the representatives here and ask questions. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to snap on the QR code or click the QR code to get that working. And we'd like to start off with our first question. Give us 1 second just to transition to that, and we'll get going. All right. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to scan that QR code. Again, it's over on the left side for you. Okay. I see some folks. It's working for those of our participants that are online. So we have some information that's populating the screen there. Looks like strawberry ice cream is leading the charge so far. So we've got mint chocolate chip, coffee, vanilla, peach. It's a great choice, right? Summer's coming up. Wonderful selection there. So we have another participant who's going to drop some information in. Cherry vanilla. Okay. We'll give just another moment for one other participant. Mint chocolate chips leading the charge. All right. It looks like that's the winner tonight. Although maybe it's strawberry and mint chocolate chip are tied for that. So it definitely makes me want some ice cream tonight. All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go to our next question. So we'd love to hear the area that you're joining us from. If
Erica,
you
I'm so sorry. Sorry. Erica, I need to interrupt for just a moment. There's a
Sure,
question from in the chat
sure.
asking if the links to the polls can be posted in the chat as people who are joining the webinar from their phone are unable to use the QR code.
Oh, certainly. There is also an option if you can't join on Slido, we do have the website that you can really basically kind of take a similar survey. It's just a slightly different access, but I think we can have the slido.com placed in the chat, and then you can add the number on the screen there. So hopefully folks can click on that. Thank you. All right. We have different folks joining in. All right. Someone's shared their college address with us. Thank you. And you should be able to see the slido.com in the chat now with the code so you can access. So thank you. All right. A few zip codes are populating. We still have one more person that's sharing their zip code. And this information is not used for anything. We're really just trying to get an idea of where folks are joining us from tonight. Since it's a virtual meeting, obviously you have the opportunity to join us from anywhere in LA County. So love to see active participation. All right, wonderful. Thank you. We'll go on to the next question. All right, I think this is a simple question. So do you use Metro? Look at that, 100% populated already. Probably an easier question than the ice cream question tonight. So thank you. We don't actually have any additional folks who are waiting to give an answer on that. So great to hear that, though. Thank you for using Metro. We appreciate your participation. We'll go on to the next question. So before today, how familiar were you with Metro's board structure? We know a lot of information was shared tonight. Some folks obviously attend the board meetings on a monthly basis, but sometimes it's not always easy to know exactly, how the structure is set up. So it looks like somewhat well is leading the charge there. Very well is not too far behind. Some folks who were not very familiar with it at all. So we appreciate you sharing that with us. And then somewhat familiar. So, all right. Thank you for sharing your responses. Somewhat well is it's good. So at least the info about how the board structure is has been relatively clear to most people. All right, let's go on to the next question. How well do you think the current Metro board reflects your community's needs? Very well, somewhat well, neutral, needs some improvement, needs major improvements. It looks like our needs some improvement is sort of leading the charge right now. And we've heard some similar feedback at the Service Council meetings, as well as our PSAC meeting and CAC meeting that also provided a listening session for members of the community. So it looks like needs some improvement. It's clear. So the message has been sent, but needs major improvements, not too far behind. So certainly can continue to be communicated. Thank you. We'll go on to the next question. What factors should be prioritized when shaping the future composition of the Metro Board? Choose three. So you'll see multiple answer options here. We're going to give you a couple minutes to read through those since you do get the opportunity to choose three of those answers. We have a few that have populated. It looks like we've kind of got a split on some of them. And it changes, right? Just a moment ago, we had experts in key areas. That was at 100%. That's changed just a little bit. It's still leading the charge, though, at 75%. Transit riders and people with firsthand experience using transit and dealing with mobility challenges, tying with experts in key areas again. Folks that represent communities and industries that rely on the safe and efficient movement of people and goods, right? That's important as well. So if you could scroll down a little bit, I'll take a look at the other numbers that are coming in here. All right, regional equity, representation from the county and local cities coming in at about 42%, just dropped down just a little bit. Public accountability and transparency at 38%. And then diversity, representation of historically underserved communities coming in at, it was 23, going down to 21. Not sure if anybody watched the Kentucky Derby over the weekend, but a little bit of a horse race here similar to that. So it looks like we're landing at about 71% of folks wanting to see transit riders and people with firsthand experience using transit and dealing with mobility challenges as one of the factors that's prioritizing the shaping the future Metro Board. All right. Thank you. And I think that's going to round out our survey questions. So if you didn't have an opportunity to participate in the survey on the Slido this evening, fear not. We do have availability for you for that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Karen and she'll share that information with you.
Thank you so much, Erica, and great job narrating those changing results. That was exciting. I love that people were really digging in and trying to decide their priorities tonight. That was great to see. And we'll capture all those results and feedback, everybody. So thank you again for taking the time to do that. But if for some reason you thought of something that we didn't ask or you have another idea about it, we are going to do public comment later, but I know some of you may need to move on or you may have dogs that need to be walked or people that would like to have dinner. So I want to just run through a couple of things before we do public comment. So one is that you can email us. So if you have additional thoughts, you can email us at governance@metro.net. I know we had someone on the phone. So governance is GOV like Victor, ERN like Nancy, AN like Nancy, CE at metro.net. So governance@metro.net. You can also call us and leave a message. Our number is 213-922 3992. I'll say that again just in case. 213-922-3992. We also have a QR code here now that you all have gotten so good at using QR codes. You can scan this and that'll take you right to our website. And that is gometro.la/governance. And our team is putting those links directly in the chat so you can access them as well. as well. We also are going to have one more listening session. So, as we shared, as Director Najarian shared at the top, we've been making our way around Los Angeles County. We've presented at all 5 of Metro's service councils around the county. We have presented a listening session at our Community Advisory Council, our Public Safety Advisory Council. We have made the rounds of some other groups to make presentations. So, business groups, folks that are willing to have us come out and present to them, different youth councils. We want to hear from our young people, so we've been doing some extra outreach to young people. I've also met the community where they are, so we've been doing transit rider intercepts. So if you happened to have been at North Hollywood Station yesterday in the Valley, you would have seen myself and my colleague in bright orange vests. We were talking directly to transit riders there and asking some of these same questions to them as they were waiting to ride the bus and the train. And we've been to Willowbrook Rosa Park, been to El Monte last week, and we've got a few more stations to go, but we're going to do one more listening session. And that is going to be next Wednesday, May 13th at noon. And that is a special listening session for the cities and communities of North Los Angeles County. So Metro actually does not provide bus service to North LA County. And so when we made our way around the county and presented to some groups up there, they said, hey, we don't have a service council because you don't run bus service, but we'd really like you to have a listening session just for us. So we are going to do that next Wednesday at noon. So if you have people that you think might be interested and maybe the evening didn't work for them, please invite them to join us next Wednesday. The details will be on our website there, and you can go to that. So with that, I will move on to the next slide. So I want to just share a few announcements for anyone who does have to leave. So this Friday, in case you haven't heard, we are very excited to open 3 new D-Line stations at Wilshire La Brea, Wilshire Fairfax, and Wilshire La Cienega. This extension of our D-Line, you may have known it before as the purple line, you see it there in dotted purple, is a safer, faster, and more reliable way to travel across the city. You could travel between Wilshire La Cienega and Union Station for about 20 minutes without having to transfer. Really, really exciting. You can get to the museums, you can connect to the farmers market, the Grove, the Beverly Center, and we're going to have community celebrations this Friday. Revenue service will start at 12:30, and so we encourage you to come out and visit our stations later this week, and it's going to be great. And we've got our website there, metro.net/D-Line opening, and all the details about the riders and the ridership and the stations and the community events and where to find out about fares. We're going to post those links now. Yes, I see your excited emoji, and we feel it too. Next slide. So we also, to go along with our new stations where they are right in the city and it's going to be warm, is a Beat the Heat campaign that we're doing. So want to just remind everybody how to get information on cooling and hydration resources. Of course, we've got another QR code here. You can sign up for heat and weather alerts as we look ahead to FIFA World Cup games. Want to make sure everybody is safe and healthy as they enjoy those. So you can scan that QR code to gain access to our heat awareness guidebook. Next slide. If you're here tonight, that must mean that you're interested in Metro, and we really appreciate you spending your evening with us, and we hope you'll stay connected. So want to make sure you've got the links on just how to do that. So again, you can always go to our website, metro.net, and you can sign up for different emails. So we have an email that we send out on Fridays, and once a month we have a newsletter that we send out. You'll get service changes, rider alerts, stay connected, find out about big community events like the D-Line opening, get project updates about things across the region and maybe in your neighborhood, and get resources to help you plan ahead. So those links are here on this website, and we can put those links in the chat as well. So next slide. So with that, we are going to work here with our outreach team and provide an opportunity for public comment. So if you have additional thoughts and you've got time to stay around with us this evening, we will be glad to hear from you. So as a reminder, during this comment period, you can raise hand using that raise hand feature. You can also use the Q&A feature. So if you don't want to speak, but you want to let us know how you feel, we'll be keeping a close eye on that Q&A, and we can read your comments out loud so everybody here can hear them. And if you are on the phone and you'd like to give a public comment, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when we call on you. So that is how we will do things. So I'm going to take a look. Erica, thank you for helping me take a look here as well.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to share with any of our participants tonight, We'd like to address public comment that's related directly to the board composition first, and then we can talk about public comment that's outside of that. So let's start with tonight's subject matter, and then we'll transition over to general public comment regarding Metro.
Okay. So I'm going to take a look here and see if we have any hands raised. Let's see. I am not seeing any questions. Looks like we did have a comment earlier, so maybe I'll go ahead and kind of read that out if that's okay. So we did have a comment saying, in terms of thinking about the board and how to reform it, active rider advocates must have at least one seat on the Metro board. Also, I think consider a makeover with a full-time board that relies on qualified experts in building and transit, guiding the progress versus the part-time arrangement by board members who may be elected officials, says who only meet once every few months. The Metro Board actually meets monthly, and may not have understanding of actual urban planning and the benefits of transit over car-dependent borderline suburban sprawl. So I thank you for that comment, and we will certainly record that here and add that to our report for tonight.
Thank you, Karen. I think we
Okay.
do have a hand raised. Our
Okay.
participant P, and I apologize for mispronunciation, PWEI is the last name, Way. If you'd like to, if you're joining us on Zoom, if you want to hit *9 or *6 to unmute. Not hearing anything on my end. Oh, there we go. Okay, go
Hello.
right ahead.
Hi.
There you go.
I really appreciate the listening session, and I want to say that California is unique among the governing bodies on its makeup because it's largely elected leaders. They are serving only part-time, and other transit boards, say New York City, Chicago, um, they're staffed by full-time appointed policy experts and people who are recognized in with credentials like building, urban planning, and engineering. In my opinion, the Metro Board it could be improved. All the members serve on the part-time. Meetings happen only monthly. I think a full-time board could increase these meetings to maybe once per week, just to accelerate the timeline. I also hope that the new board would include a full-time user for a writer advocate who understands the urgency and, more importantly, the challenges what commuters face. All the slow timelines all the slow timelines should be seen through the lens of somebody whose livelihood depends on the bus or the train showing up. It needs to be elevated from an ad hoc position to an actual seat on the board. And also, the board should be staffed by experts with all the certifications, licensing, and qualifications to lead the board. Areas like law, construction, medicine, aviation, engineering, and accounting all have expert trained board members to govern their field. We essentially have a part-time board who don't really have to have certifications or licenses to handle one of the largest public works projects and largest budgets in the West Coast. I appreciate the idea of having elected officials, but this kind of job needs full-time expertise with deep credentials. And uh, and I think the problem with elected officials, they tend to bow to political pressures and have their decisions affected by popularity. The K-line Torrance extension project was a perfect example of how political influence by anti-transit residents and city governments putting all sorts of political pressure with the onto the board of supervisors. We lost all sorts of time and money on conducting repeated studies to get the board up to speed on issues and challenges versus having a deep expertise of the Metro staff to make a critical assessment in the fraction of the time in the fraction of the time and cost going ahead. My hope is to create a board that's focused on governance of projects and on an expedited basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I apologize. We do have a timer and we did get it going there a little late, so appreciate you noticing it and wrapping up. So I know, Erica, it looks like we have another hand. So
We do.
I'll let you call on the next person. Yeah, thank you.
Participant McGarry, feel free to unmute yourself. Go right ahead. We won't start the timer till you start speaking.
Unmute. Okay. Can you hear me? Oops.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can hear
You're
you.
good to go. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Um, okay. So I agree with the comment before and the speaker that just spoke. I feel that our system is just absolutely broken and we need a complete overhaul of the Metro Board. Um, like why is Metro planning to increase highway funding, by more than 40% and spend over $800 million, but they can't spare any money to keep MetroLink from cutting services? The K line to Torrance, that was a huge mess. We need to get politicians off this board. They're making nonsensical and harmful decisions. Transportation is the biggest contributor to making our air and water dirty. We need voting members on this board who are transit riders before they got on the board. Anyone that's on the board needs to be required to ride several times a week. The focus of the board should be improving transit. I know they do lots of other stuff, but widening highways doesn't do anything to help traffic, but increasing public transportation helps alleviate traffic. And we especially need professionals and experts who understand best practices. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. I know we had someone in the Q&A who was trying to, I think, raise hand. Let's see. It looks like,
They're on the phone.
okay. Are we able to have that person unmute? Let's see.
Are you able to connect with us? I believe it's *6, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If our call-in user would like to try to hit
Yeah,
*6.
yeah, they're there.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to speak up just a little bit?
Hmm. Well, we may be having some connection issues. We'll provide the links again before we wrap up tonight, and they are in the chat.
Certainly, we do have
We
some
did
time.
have yeah, let's see. It looks like we had another comment come in via Q&A, and that's totally fine. You do not have to speak tonight. If you would rather just type your comments, that's totally fine. So I'll go ahead and read this one out for everyone to hear. The comment in the Q&A is they'd like to see protected bike lanes, dedicated bus lanes with automatic camera enforcement, priority preemption lights at all crossings and intersections for light rail running at grade or at street level, heavy rail subway expansion for the greater good with no NIMBY input, slowing down projects, and a board which doesn't listen to its own experts as a result. Whether metro bus, bike share, or train, this is all pretty basic. They said the board has not showed much interest in doing the right thing. So, end quote. Thank you for sharing your feedback with us via the Q&A. That is, again, a totally fine way to share comments. Not all of us like to do public speaking at the end of a long evening, and so we appreciate you using that as well. Let's see. I am not seeing any hands raised at this point. Oh,
Oh,
there
we
we
just
go.
had
We
one
do
go
have a
up.
new one. There we go.
Christian Lightow, if you'd like to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go right ahead, please.
Awesome. My name is Christian Litzo. I am actually a Santa Barbara resident, but I go to college at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. So I use the metro a lot for recreational purposes, for day trips, and also to be able to visit friends and family who live in the area. So I still use the metro a lot. The main thing I want to say, just about the Metro Board is, so far I've agreed with a lot of the previous comments in, having transit riders who experience, all the different like challenges and hardships, and inefficiencies of our current system, being on the board and being able to express those and being able to make decisions in accordance to that. And also having transit experts, I feel like is also very important, to be able to make decisions that will make our transit projects cost effective and also to be able to keep them on time. And I think that for our current board, that they should also be required to use the metro a certain amount of times per week to be able to, so everyone is able to understand like the challenges that all pe people of all different modes of transportation face. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. Erica, we've had a few comments and questions tonight about transit riders, and so I want to make sure that everyone attending tonight is very aware of our Metro Service Councils. So I talked about the service councils earlier tonight because we have done listening sessions, but service councils meet in each subregion of LA County, except North County. So they meet in the South Bay, the San Fernando Valley, the San Gabriel Valley, the Central West Side area of Los Angeles, and also the South Bay. And so I'm going to ask my colleagues here, let me see if I can get the link for you all, if you all can post that. But I want to make sure that you all know how to participate in service council meetings because we have folks on that who are actually required to ride transit, and many of them are daily transit riders. And sometimes we are. Seems like we're always looking for someone on one of those service councils. Just the nature of Los Angeles County, people come, they move away, they get a different role. And so those are advised. That's an important state regulated advisory body, actually, that provides guidance to the Metro Board. And so if you have an interest and passion in transit and you've not ever been to a service council in person, they meet in a hybrid format. And so really encourage you all to check those out. And if you're interested or you know people who might be interested someday in serving on a service council, come check it out. You can provide public comment there. And they really are designed to give people an opportunity to provide feedback on the buses and the service in their area. So I served as Metro's representative for about 5 years on the San Fernando Valley Service Council, and they're really as good as everybody who comes and participates. So just want to make sure you all have the link. Thank you so much for posting. So yeah, if you've not ever been, and clearly many people tonight have a passion for transit, I encourage you to turn out and learn more about Metro Service Councils. So with that, Erica, I'm looking to see if we have any more comments or questions that people
Sure.
may have.
Thank you, Karen. I also wanted to mention that there is an opportunity for our guests who are joining us on the Spanish language channel. If you also have a question, feel free to share that with the interpreter, and that can certainly be shared here. So don't hesitate. We want to make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to participate and to ask questions and make comments. Not seeing any additional hands at this moment.
Yeah, maybe we'll turn back one more time. I do see a few folks are heading out, and I want to make sure we bring our contact information back up one more time. And we did have a question in the chat about whether this presentation will be recorded and posted, and the answer is yes. We are recording tonight's presentation. It will be posted on our website, that governance website there. So gometro.la/governance, and you can use the QR code. So once we get this recording all buttoned up, we will post it there. It'll be available. We'll also be sharing it in our Friday newsletter. So we provided that link earlier. If you're not getting our Friday newsletter, make sure that you sign up and you'll be able to get a copy of it emailed to you that way in your Friday newsletter. And again, you can call us and leave your thoughts, or you can email if tonight's discussion and some of the comments, triggered other things and you want to share those with us. Please feel free to share via 213-922-3992 or email us at governance@metro.net. We're taking feedback, as we shared, and you can take the survey again on the website if you like. Or you can join us next Wednesday. If you found this interesting, you can do it again next Wednesday with us on your lunch hour. And so we invite you to come there. Let's see. I am not seeing any other questions, Erica, or any other comments in the Q&A.
Not seeing any at this time, but we want to give you the opportunity. Feel free to type in your comments or raise your hand and we'll call on you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I think I would like to share
Yep.
that it's been a great opportunity to attend those service council meetings that Karen just mentioned. Folks come from so many different parts of the county and take so many different modes of transportation, right? We have bike riders, bus riders, rail users, Metro Micro. So everyone has an opportunity to sort of weigh in with these meetings, sharing specifically, certainly from your lived experience, but for others who are, part of your family or your network, those who may have a disability, if you'd like a different type of representation on the board to make sure that folks with disabilities are covered, others with different expertise, whether it's planning or economics. We've heard so many different bits of information shared at the listening session. So just opening it up to those who'd like to share their thoughts. I suspect
Thank you
folks
so
are
much,
are
Erica.
hungry.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. Well, I think we will go ahead and wrap this meeting in the interest of letting the few folks that have stayed with us here till the very end get on with their evenings. And as you said, maybe go get some dinner or whatever the evening may hold for them. But just really want to thank everybody tonight for being with us. We recognize how busy you are. We recognize you have lots of other places you could be on a Wednesday evening. And so thank you for being here tonight and participating in this. Thank you for participating in our poll and sharing your thoughts. Those of you who shared them, whether in the Q&A or whether online, it was great to hear directly from so many different people with different viewpoints. Again, here's our contact information. If you want to get a hold of us, we'd love to hear from you and want to just thank you again for being with us tonight. So with that, we'll say goodnight. Thank you.